Excuse me. Please bear with me. Please bear with me. I'm not really feeling well right now, so please bear with my voice as well. If we can tackle the calculations, then we'll also gonna be discussing that one. Pero kung hindi, then we will still have a meeting on week 8 naman. So, yun. Excuse me. So, let's start. Uh, Saglit lang. So, sino yun? Mumute, mumute muna kita, master, ha? Wala ka naman nata sasabihin. Yan, goods na. Sige. Let's watch muna this videos. So the first video that I'm gonna be presenting to you is the first one that we are gonna be discussing, which are the flat plate collectors. So let's watch this short clip muna.
Hello guys, welcome back to MechGeek's YouTube channel. Here is the video about flat plate solar collectors. The flat plate solar collectors are probably the most fundamental and most studied technology for solar powered domestic hot water systems. The flat plate collector is basically a heat exchanger, which transfers the radiant energy of the incident sunlight to the sensible heat of a working fluid, liquid or air. Here the main components of the flat plate collector are black absorber plate, transparent screen, fluid tubes, insulation, support structure. Sunlight passes through the transparent screen and strikes the absorber plate, which heats up, changing solar energy into heat energy. The heat is transferred to liquid passing through pipes attached to the absorber plate. However, the rest of the energy is still lost in radiation to the outside environment. Flat plate collectors heat the circulating fluid to a temperature considerably less than that of the boiling point of water, and are best suited to applications where the demand temperature is 30 to 70 degrees C. That's it guys for this video. Hope you understand our explanation. If you liked our video, please give thumbs up, share this video to your friends, express your views in the comment section below. And also watch our previous videos. For more content, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit.
So, yun. Uh, that is the very simplest definition ng flat plate collectors natin. That is how it works. So, we're gonna be dealing more about it later on. And another thing that we are gonna be discussing is our concentrating solar power systems. And one of those, kung mapapansin nyo sa module, if you check the module, by the way, uh, si Adam, your module is with me na here sa faculty. So you need to get this uh you need to get this, Adam. You need to get this, Adam, because next week we are going to be having our quiz, and half of the items in the quiz will be on your module. So if you have time, then you can get it here sa faculty. Then yon, so again, going back, another type another type of solar heating system is a is a concentrating solar power, which is an example of which is a parabolic trough system based on your manual. So before I discuss everything, let's just watch this video again first.
Okay, take the natural heat from the sun. reflect it against a mirror. Focus all of that heat on one area, send it through a power system, and you've got a renewable way of making electricity. It's called concentrating solar power, or CSP. Now, there are many types of CSP technologies: towers, dishes, linear mirrors, and troughs. Okay, have a look at this parabolic trough system. Parabolic troughs are large mirrors shaped like a giant U. These troughs are connected together in long lines and will track the sun throughout the day. When the sun's heat is reflected off the mirror, the curved shape sends most of that reflected heat onto a receiver. The receiver tube is filled with a fluid. It could be oil, molten salt, something that holds the heat well. Basically, this super hot liquid heats water in this thing called a heat exchanger, and the water turns to steam. Now the steam is sent off to a turbine, and from there, it's business as usual inside a power plant. A steam turbine spins a generator, and the generator makes electricity. Once the fluid transfers its heat, it's recycled and used over and over, and the steam is also cooled, condensed, and recycled again and again. One big advantage of these trough systems is that the heated fluid can be stored and used later to keep making electricity when the sun isn't shining. Sunny skies and hot temperatures make the Southwest U.S. an ideal place for these kinds of power plants. Many concentrated solar power plants could be built within the next several years, and a single plant can generate 250 megawatts or more, which is enough to power about 90,000 homes. That's a lot of electricity to meet America's power needs.
So yun, that's another type. That's an example of a concentrating solar power, specifically parabolic trough system. And another type is CPC, or the compound parabolic concentrators. So ito yon.
Want to collect and concentrate divergent light while avoiding the difficulties associated with a multi-element system? If so, compound parabolic concentrators, known as CPCs, may be the choice for you. A CPC is a concentrator designed using a rotated parabolic shape. The wide end of the CPC collects divergent light, which is then reflected within the CPC and concentrated at the narrow output end. CPCs are defined using an acceptance angle, which is the angular range in which a CPC can collect light. CPCs are ideal for any application that requires the condensing of divergent light sources and are commonly used for solar energy collection, wireless communication, and biomedical and defense research.
Recently, more and more solar water heaters have adopted the new evacuated tube technology, a wonderful piece of tech that improves the efficiency of acquiring hot water for your home. But there's a catch. When you are choosing the right solar water heater for your home, make sure to check if it is come with CPC. Today, let us break down the difference between the evacuated tubes with and without a CPC. CPC stands for Compound Parabolic Concentrator. It is the curved sheet of metal placed beneath the evacuated tubes. For evacuated tube without a CPC, the sun rays can only be absorbed from the surfaces facing the sun, and leaving more gaps between each pipe and reducing the amount of heat generated. With a CPC, this let the evacuated tubes continue absorbing the sun rays from all around the tube throughout the day. increasing its effective surface area and maximizing the amount of heat generated. So, now you understand the differences of an evacuated tube solar water heater with or without a CPC. If you have any further inquiries, make
1 year ago, Solartron Energy Systems
So, yon, those are CPCs or the compound parabolic concentrators. We are going to be discussing those as well later. And this one naman is a paraboloidal concentrator or commonly called as well as dish concentrator.
introduced the world to the first ever commercial available parabolic solar concentrator. The foundation is available as a precast system, enabling faster install time. As well, the installation does not require any copper piping or soldering due to the max operating temperature of 93 degrees Celsius or around 200 degrees Fahrenheit. The solar beam was built to be a modular installation, allowing components to be placed into position. The reflector dish can be pre-assembled on the ground and put into place with the boom. The Solar Beam Concentrator is the most efficient solar thermal system available. The Solar Beam uses concentrated solar power technology that utilizes a highly reflective anodized aluminum to reflect and concentrate the sunlight onto a focal point. The solar beam generates peak 13 kilowatts of heat per hour, which is 44,350 BTUs. The system can reduce payback from 20 years to 6 years compared to other technologies. The Solar Beam Concentrator's patent-pending dual-axis sun tracking system utilizes breakthrough technology to accurately track the sun. The solar beam does not require any sensors to locate the sun. Rather, it uses a unique celestial algorithm and GPS to track the sun regardless of the season. The solar beam maintains a continuous 82% efficiency from low to high temperatures. Compared to flat plate panels or evacuated tubes, they experience a lower efficiencies in higher temperatures. Various displays are provided for calibration as well as for temperature readings. The control system is designed with industrial components ensuring the highest reliability in the field. In addition, the control system is internet ready, allowing for remote setting changes, firmware updates, and viewing energy reports via the web anywhere in the world. The Solar Beam Concentrator is the new standard for solar thermal applications.
So that one naman, yun nga, that is a paraboloidal concentrator. The key difference between those concentrators lang is on its design, but the process are all the same. And we're gonna be discussing that today. But let me share my screen first. So our lesson for today is about solar heating systems, and energy management. So solar heating systems, we're gonna be dealing with here the flat plate collectors. Hold on. So again, our lesson is about solar heating systems and energy management. Here we are going to be discussing about the flat plate collectors as one of the solar heating systems and the CSPs or the concentrating solar powers, as well as the energy storage or the energy management of the solar energy systems. And we are, if we still have time, we are going to be discussing as well the calculations regarding solar energy. So solar heating systems, so we have two different solar heating systems. The first one is the passive solar heating system. This the passive solar heating systems, basically this is about, or this heating system do not rely on any mechanical devices. So what does this mean? From the word itself, passive, then you do not need any intervention from mechanical devices. So for example, here you put a thing under the sun, so then that thing will be heated as it is. So that's passive solar heating. You do not need any pump or any exchangers to process the heat. It is just it is a passive solar heating methods. That just includes natural processes such as solar radiation, convection, thermosiphon flow, thermal properties, and of materials to collect and transfer heat. So, yun nga, the very simple definition is that you heat a system or you heat something as it is, uh, as how the sun radiates heat. So that's it, without any intervention of it. So that's basically the passive solar heating methods. Whereas when we talk about active solar heating methods, then it's completely the opposite. It relies, or it uh it uses, or it you or they use mechanical devices to process heat. So that is with the use of pumps, fans, heat exchangers to increase efficiency and rate of fluid of heat transfer. So yun, saglit lang. So yun, that's the difference. Again, passive solar heating methods, they just use, or they do not rely on any mechanical devices to utilize heat from the sun, whereas active solar heating methods, they use mechanical devices to process and utilize heat from the sun. That is to increase the efficiency and rate of fluid flow on the system. So that's it. Then one type of solar heating systems that we use nga is a flat plate collector. So a flat plate collector is a foundational device in solar energy systems designed to capture and convert sunlight into heat for various applications. It relies on the combination of components that work together to optimize energy absorption and minimize losses. So from the video that you watched earlier, excuse me, from the video that you watched earlier, that is the schematic design of a simple flat plate collector. So if you can remember, there is this absorber surface. Uh, absorber surface is typically crafted from a dark, thermally conductive material. From our lesson 2, we know that the absorber surface needs to have any selective coatings which is dark so that it can absorb more heat, diba? The darker the material, the more it can absorb heat. So that's basically the concept. So the dark coloration is critical since nga it enhances the absorption of solar radiation by reducing reflectivity. So surface converts the absorbed sunlight into heat, then transferred to a working medium. So more of the absorbers will be discussed later on. Then we also have re-radiation loss trap is integrated into the design. So these are the glazings dun sa video. If you can still share, if you can still remember on the video that I presented earlier, there is this transparent glass or transparent material above the absorber. Above the absorber. So that's the glazings or the re-radiation loss trap that we use on our designs, and we are also gonna be talking about it later because just a glimpse because we use this glazings or transparent layers to absorb ito sabi dito then to absorb to allow shorter wavelength radiation to pass through it and then trap it inside by not allowing the longer wavelength to uh, deflect back to the surface or to reflect back to the environment. So that is how the radiation loss trap or the glazings work in a solar uh, in flat plate collectors. And we also have thermal insulation. So thermal insulation, this reduces heat loss to the rear side of the collector. So this makes sure that the heat that penetrates through the system will be absorbed fully, not really fully, but will be absorbed optimally by our system. So the combination of these features ensures that the maximum amount of solar energy is retained or and redirected and directed into the heat transfer medium. So that is our main purpose here. We need all of the heat to be absorbed uh, by our absorber and then will then be transferred to our uh, fluid. So because that fluid will run our main system. So this medium, which could be air, water, or another fluid, serves as the conduit for transporting the captured heat to where it is needed. So uh, this flat plate collectors are typically employed in applications where temperatures up to 75 degrees Celsius are sufficient. So yeah, and the two basic types of collectors is based on its fluid. Tandaan, the main type of flat plate collector is based on its fluid. So the first one is the liquid type and the second one is the air type. So for the liquid type, for the liquid type, it just means that the heat transfer that we are gonna be using is water or liquid. So the flat plate collector will have liquid, most likely water, as its medium for heat transfer. Whereas when we talk about air type, then basically the medium here is air. And the main difference is that uh, you will use liquid type depending on its application as well as air type. So it really depends on the application of flat plate collectors that you are going to be using. So the first one is a liquid type collector. So here's the thing. Here's the things uh, that is discussed on the video. If you can still remember, the very top part on the diagram on the video is the glazing or the transparent material. So or this glazing will allow the solar radiation to pass through it. Since this is a transparent material, 'di ba? Papasok siya dito sa loob, papasok dito yung heat sa loob. Since this is again a transparent material, it will allow the heat to penetrate through it. So all the short wavelengths and the long wavelengths will penetrate through it. So once it gets when it gets passed through the system, then it will be trapped inside. Why? Because this glazing has this property to trap as well, to trap the heat inside, especially the longer wavelengths. It will be trapped inside so that our absorber plate, which is placed here under the glazing, all of the heat that is trapped or that are trapped will be absorbed by our absorber plate. So those absorber plate has tubes has tubes where the fluid is flowing, or where the fluid is flowing, there are tubes. So these tubes will be heated because of the heat trapped and because of the heat produced or emitted by the sun. It will drive the heating process of the tubes inside this flat plate collectors. So once the fluid gets heated, then it will produce steam, and steam is a great carrier of energy. And that steam, these collectors will be connected to our steam turbine, so that steam produced from the heating, or from the heated tube, that steam will run our turbine. So that's the process. It will be heated, or the fluid will be heated here because of the sun's heat. Then it will be producing steam. Then that will run our steam turbines. So that's the process. Then another part of our liquid type collector is the header. So the header, this is just to facilitate the flow of our fluids in the absorber plates and in our tubes. So if there are if there are tubes, nakakonekta yan dito, nakakonekta yung mga tubes na yan. So that uh, the header lang is where the fluid is flowing to facilitate the movement as well of the fluid inside the absorber tubes connected to the header. So yan, so that's basically the header. Then the insulation, this is placed beneath the absorber plate, so all of the energy, all of the heat will not be lost, or there will be a minimal heat losses because of the insulators or the insulations placed beneath the absorber plate, so that no heat will be able to escape the system. So that is to optimize our design of flat plate collectors. Then the frame wall, these are just basically the skeleton, or the covering of this flat plate collectors. So these are the covering. This is just the cover of our flat plate collectors. So this is the parts of flat plate collectors, and this is the same with the air type collectors. May it be liquid type or air type collectors, the design is just the same. So ito, ang pinakaiba nga lang again nila is the fluid running inside the absorber plates, or inside the tubes in the absorber plates. So this is basically the same, but there are also flat plate collectors. There are also plate collectors that do not have any glazings. So uh, it functions the same, but yun nga, there are specific collectors that they do not have glazings because the system does not require to have glazings. Why is it so? Because there are certain areas, or there are certain parts that uh, the heat being supplied by the sun is already enough. So utilizing collectors with glazing will just add additional costs. So yun, it really depends on the usage, or on the application of our flat plate collectors. Again, there are collectors which has glazings, and there are also collectors which have no glazings. So yun. So yan, na-discuss natin ito. Then air type collectors, this is just basically uh, a type of collector which uses air as the medium, and one of just its benefit is its low sensitivity to leakage. So hindi po nagli-leak. Hold on. So yun. Though there can be leakage as here in air type collectors, but it's not really that significant when it comes to liquid type, kasi uh, The loss of air due to minor leaks does not really pose significant operational challenges, and it's easier to maintain kasi when we talk about uh, liquid type collectors, if there is a leakage with liquid type collectors, then it's harder to it's more difficult to handle it because uh, there is a water there, whereas kapag air lang siya, syempre air is present everywhere naman, it's easier to handle, especially that this is if it escapes from the tube, then most likely medyo contained pa din yung pressure niya, so that really does not really that that really does not affect the operational process when there is leakage from airs compared to liquid, because again there is only a slight difference with the pressure, kasi konti pa lang yung umi-escape nun if there is leakage. So yon, the main usage of air type collectors are for drying or space heating. So yon, we use air type collectors for those kinds of things. But if we are gonna be using liquid type collectors, this is commonly used on uh, power generation, kasi we need to have steam. So yon, we need to generate steam. Then glazings nga, this glazings or transparent cover, this is part of the system design, serves as a dual purpose. It allows the entry of shorter wavelength solar radiation while effectively blocking longer wavelength radiation from the absorber plate. So again, ang glazing is the transparent cover at the top of the liquid or of the flat plate collectors. This serves as a transparent thing that allows the heat to pass through it, and once it passes through it, then it will trap the heat inside as well. It will trap the heat, especially those along heat with longer wavelengths. So yun, ginagawa natin to enhance the collector's thermal efficiency. And glazing minimizes heat loss through convection from the top of the absorber plate. So the common type or the commonly used glazing material is glass, because uh, mataas nga yung transmittance niya. Again, transmittance from our previous discussion is the ability of a material to make the heat pass through it. So it has a high transmittance, but while trapping longer wavelengths infrared radiation effectively. So ibig sabihin, if those things gets penetrated inside our system, then all of those will not be able to escape as well because of the properties of glass. So if that's the case, then all of the heat will be able to be utilized by our collectors. So that is the reason why uh, transparent glass is used as a glazing material. But there are times that they use a transparent plastics. But if we use transparent plastics, we have to consider that it's only durability, because uh, uh, plastics kasi they exhibit higher transmittance in the longer wavelength solar spectrum, which really is a negative thing kasi it reduces the efficiency, because we need this longer wavelengths to be trapped inside. So uh, it's better to use a glass talaga. And these plastics are prone to degradation over time due to exposure to ultraviolet radiation, leading to reduced performance and shorter lifespan. So the usage of glass uh, and transparent plastics is it depends on the application, on where you are going to be using it. Like for example, if you really want a design where durability is your main concern, then you opt to choose transparent plastics. Where is this possible? If you are going to be installing on harsh environments, then you can opt to choose transparent plastics. Harsh environment, but uh, sufficient or enough supply of heat from the sun. So you use transparent plastics because this is durable. But if you are just gonna be installing it where where it's not really that harsh, and you need to harvest more or the most out of the sun's energy, then you opt to choose glass. Then yon, since ang downside ng glass is its vulnerability to breakage, tempered glass po yung ginagamit na commonly ngayon. So since this is still a glass, but this is treated to enhance the strength and resistance to impact. So hindi siya mababasag. It will not break because again this is already a tempered glass, but this does not compromise the quality when it comes to the thermal performance. So commonly we are using tempered glasses na on our designs. Then yon, the next uh thing or the next uh part of our flat plate collectors is the absorber. So the absorber plate or the absorber is really the very important key when it comes to uh utilizing the heat, because this is responsible for capturing incident solar radiation, minimizing re-radiation losses, and efficiently transferring the absorbed heat to a working fluid. Kasi again, because of the absorbers, because of our absorber tubes and absorber plates, our fluid gets heated because of them equally and distribute, not really equally pala, but yon, our system gets heated. So yon, and gaya ng discussion natin on this lesson 2, absorbers need to have selective coatings because the selective coatings increases the ability of our absorbers to absorb energy. So yon, and our common absorber plates come in various configurations such as flat plates, corrugated sheets, or tubes. And these are commonly used or made from copper because of its exceptional thermal conductivity and resistance corrosion, which are critical for long-term performance. And yun nga, high cost of copper often necessitates na alternative materials for certain applications because there are, if we talk about if we talk about thermal conductivity, uh, copper is good as well as aluminum, but it's just that these are more costly kasi. So this designers opted to have a research on what would be more economical uh, material, but commonly it really is copper. Even sa ating mga wires naman, copper is used because of its great thermal conductivity. So again, absorber tubes, absorbers natin, these are made of copper because of its ability to conduct heat. So because of that, mas madaling nahi-heat yung fluid sa loob ng ating tubes. And ayan, for a low temperature applications, then we can use EPDM or the ethylene propylene polymer and similar plastic materials. Then gaya nga nasabi natin, to maximize the absorption, we are using selective coatings. If not available, if we do not have any available process to coat it with the selective coatings like the titanium, the black chrome, then we can just have it painted in black because again, dark colors enhances absorption. Dark colors absorb energy more or absorb energy better than light colors because light colors reflect back the heat, while dark colors absorb more. heat. So that's the concept why we opt to choose absorbers in black colors. Then an economical variation of the absorber design is the trickle collector. Ito naman ay a corrugated metal surface painted black. So this is not really common design, but this is a sort of area of improvement for collectors because it requires higher pumping power nga due to the open water flow system, and meron tayong condensation issues on the glazing because this is just a metal surface painted black and not enclosed in tubes. So if the water is flowing over the open surface, if there is an open surface, diba, this is really prone to vaporize. Magve-vaporize yan when it gets exposed to heat. And because of that, pag nag-vaporize yan, it will cause some issues as well. It will cause issues sa ating transparent cover. So it will moist. So if that happens, then most likely the sun's heat will be blocked. So it really is one of the downsides of this trickle collectors. So still we are using the flat plate collectors where we utilize tubes so that no moist uh, can escape from the tube, or that really does not make any issue regarding the process. And from our thermal collectors, from our flat plate collectors, we follow certain standards uh, for us to say that our design or our flat plate collectors are suitable for industry or even home application. So we have this ASHRAE. If you might have been able to see or be familiar with this, especially in your designs. So the American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers, this is ASHRAE, commonly used in combustion engineering natin, in refrigeration and aircon. So these standards will be or the standards are commonly used in in our design. So one of the ASHRAE standard that we need to consider is the ASHRAE standard 93-2003, which is the methods of testing to determine the thermal performance of solar collectors. So this outlines the procedure for evaluating key performance metrics such as the time constant, thermal efficiency, and incidence angle modifier. So this is the common testing method for our thermal collectors. And the previous one is the ASHRAE standard 96-1980. This is just for the unglazed solar collectors kasi before they utilize they do not utilize glazing. So ito yung standard dati, but still this is still being considered, or this is still being tested because there are still designs na hindi gumagamit ng glazings ng ating thermal collectors. So yun. So that's it for our flat plate collectors. Yun yung composition niya. And the other type of solar energy system or solar heating system is the concentrating solar collector. So what is this? From the word itself, concentrating, then it just means uh, yung ating yung ating collector or yung ating heat from the sun will be concentrated into a specific point. Ibig sabihin, all of the heat will go there to a specific focal point. So that is concentrating solar collectors. And the most common term here is the CSPs, or the concentrating solar power. So based doon sa pinanood nating video, kung mapapansin nyo, lahat ng napanood natin kanina na concentrating solar power is it uses mirrors or lenses because mirrors, 'di ba? Alam natin mirrors are uh, able to reflect the heat. So once for example, here is the mirror. For what a mirror to, then this is the sun. This is the sun. So when it gets or when the sun hits the mirror or yeah, when the sun ray hits the mirror, then yung heat natin will be reflected back. It will be reflected back. For example, nandito yung ating focal point. So once the heat or once the sun's ray hits the once the sun's saglit lang. So yon once the sun rays hits uh, our uh, our mirror, tatama siya dito sa focal point. So for example, yung design ng mirror natin, yung pagkakapwesto niya will be reflected yung lahat ng heat na yun magre-reflect siya papunta dito. So naka-design yan. It depends on the design of our CSPs. So all of the heat will be transferred or will be uh, concentrated into that specific focal point. So one of the type na nakita natin is sa video is the parabolic trough concentrator. So ito yon yung nasa video. So this is a type of parabolic trough concentrator. So dito, uh, as you can see, this is a parabola, a parabolic trough. So ganyan yung design niya, parabolic trough. So as you can see, uh, the focal point here is this tube. Ito yung receiver natin where the fluid is flowing. Ito yung tube natin. Yan. Nandyan. So, kung mapapansin nyo, if you can see, the sun, uh, the sun rays hits the parabolic trough which is composed or of mirrors. So, when it hits the surface of the mirror, based on the design, all of the heat will be reflected towards the receiver. And again, that receiver is our absorber. So all of the heat will be going there so that all of the heat will be able to hit the fluid inside our tubes. So ganyan yung design niya. This is the design. So this is the process. So as you can see, the sun also hits the tube. So if it directly hits the tube, then it's already good. But to utilize the heat effectively, we utilize mirrors yung sa parabolic trough so that all of the heat will be transferred to the receiver as well. So when that receiver was gets enough heat to to superheat or to heat the fluid and make it a steam or make it steam, then that steam, since that carries a lot of energy, it will be able to power to this turbine. It will make the turbine rotate, then it will be coupled to generator to produce electricity. So that's basically how the parabolic trough concentrator works. Then when we talk about when we talk about uh, compound curvature solar concentration, so this basically is a combination of or a more complex design. Same goes with this. So paraboloidal concentrator. So the main difference on this is that ang paraboloidal concentrator natin, the design is in this shape. That is the reason why this is commonly called or this is commonly termed as the dish Stirling concentrator. Why? Because first, yung ating design, the design is dish shaped and this is running in with a Stirling engine. I hope you are familiar with Stirling engine because this has been discussed as well in your combustion na sa iba, no, Huto combustion. But in Thermo 2, if I'm not mistaken, so yeah, it works with a Stirling engine. So same process with the parabolic trough concentrator. This paraboloidal concentrator, then for example, the sun is here, then it will hit the surface here. It will reflect or it will hit the surface here. Then this is composed of mirrors. So it will reflect the heat to this. This is the receiver. This is the receiver. So all of the heat will be able to transfer or will be able to go here. Then that heat will be transferred to this lines here, here. All of those heat will be able to go there since that is already concentrated. So all of all of those will be going there, and that heat will be able to make our Stirling engine work to generate electricity. So that basically is the process of paraboloidal concentrators. Then spherical concentrators basically the same with the paraboloidal concentrator, but researchers think that this is more advanced because, for example, the sun's the sun is here. So if this gets here, or if the sun hits the surface of the sphere, then it will reflect back on this. It will reflect back on this. This is the main receiver. So it will go there, and uh the main difference of this on the paraboloidal is that they consider the back part where the sun really does not hit it. But uh in during that case, because of this spherical design, this will also be able to reflect the heat to go here. So yeah, so that is how spherical concentrator work. Basically the same with other concentrators, it's just that the design is spherical. Then lastly is the compound parabolic concentrators. Kung dun, if you can still remember, uh, if you can still remember on the video, these are commonly placed naman under the tubes. So uh, sa tubes natin, for example, this is our absorber tubes. So the sun will be able to hit it directly, the tubes. But syempre, there will be tubes that there will be parts where the heat will not, or where the heat will not really hit the tubes. Like for example, there are spacings here, so it will go to through that space. So the compound parabolic concentrators are placed underneath these tubes. So all of those heat will be able to uh, reflect, or all of those heat will be reflected back to the tube because of our compound parabolic concentrators placed under the tubes. So that is how compound parabolic concentrators work. Then yon, those are the types of concentrating solar powers. Again, we discussed about the flat plate collectors and the co- concentrating solar power. So yeah, that's it. Then for energy storage, for energy storage, this just basically means that we need to store the energy because it's not always present, that, or we cannot always have, we cannot always we cannot always process th- the heat, or we cannot always process energy because sun is not always present. I mean, the energy is not always present. So we need to utilize energy storage so that uh, even if there is an excess, then we can still use the energy uh, produced from the sun. So basically that includes the that includes our that includes using batteries or storage tanks, and also we use a grid connected PV system. So some of our PV systems are connected to grids because kapag connected kasi siya sa grid, then it produces, or it makes money out of it. So it depends on it depends on the metering system natin. So for example, nakakonect na yan sa national grid, yung per energy natin na napoproduce or per kilowatt energy natin na napoproduce is equal to a money or is equal to money. So, uh, and if this is grid connected na, then they will be the one to handle the energy. May it be it's gonna be used for reservation or used as main source. So it's already depends on them. So it depends on them. So uh, that's the main advantage of grid connected. They will be the one to to facilitate the energy you produce. So that's it. Then yun, let's have muna a quick break. Let's continue discussing the economics later on and the calculation. Please give me 5 minutes muna. Uh, when we talk about energy storage, our main concern here is where are we gonna store or where are we gonna be storing our energy? Kasi yun nga, there are times na hindi there are times that we cannot really harness energy. So all of the heat or all of the steam that we have produced or that we have had will be all of the heat pwede nating store from from storage tanks, then that will be or that we will be using on that we will be using for uh, future use. Then yun yun nga yun when we talk about grid connected PV systems, uh, if we integrate our PV systems to the grid, kapag connect nga natin siya sa grid, then yung per energy na napoproduce natin will be paid. Then sila na yung bahala if they are gonna be using the energy that you produced for consumption or for reserve. So, but still, it will be uh, it will be paid once you connected it to the grid. So, kaya kung makikita nyo, sa mga national grids natin, yung sa mga Meralco, di ba, per kilowatt hour yung bayad dyan, or yun, basta if you connect it to them, to the grid, the national grid, or may it be, kung saan grid man yan nyo i-connect, it will always be paid per kilowatt hour that you produce, that you provide them. May it be for, storage or for consumption or for reserve. So, yun. And what I'm talking about storage, kung paano ba siya i-store, if you can still see this diagram in dito, this is really the same with other designs. So, itong mga storage tanks natin, this is where the steam is being stored. Kasi if you can see from here, syempre we produce steam here. So, some some runs the turbine, but some is getting stored. So if there's no more heat of, or if there is no specific, or there is no uh, hindi masyadong, or there is a lesser amount of steam na, kasi for example gabi natin siya ipaprocess, then we can use the stored energy from the process that we had earlier. So yon. So that is how we integrate storages sa ating design. So, yun. And then for the economics, syempre, we always have to consider the economic basis of our design. So, the economics, syempre, this will make or break your design. Kaya nga yung iba, there are some investors that really do not invest on solar energy systems because the foundation or the knowledge about this is lacking because they believe that solar radiation or solar energy system is not really a good thing to invest on because of its low efficiency. But with the right knowledge and with the right orientation, this can really be or this will be able to have or to make the energy supply or the energy demand from the earth be sufficient. So yon, what are we gonna be considering in economics here? Syempre, we have to be able to identify the life cycle costing. So ito, you would always consider this, and more of this will be discussed on your economics subject naman. So we will not really delve into this. So just a brief background. So syempre, initial cost, this includes the costs uh, of your equipment, the construction, installation, and land acquisition. So this is basically the costs uh, for your system on para mag-start or during the startup of your system. Then the operating cost is the cost where uh, the cost to operate the system. So that's operating cost. Then interest charges, syempre, you will talk or you will consult a lot of financing companies have to run this system. So there will always be a borrowed money, or also there will also be shares holders, stockholders. So there will always be an interest to pay for that. So you need to consider that. And then syempre, hindi natin maiwasan din ang maintenance and miscellaneous charges, then the taxes, but taxes are subject to change because there are certain areas and there are certain laws that prohibit the payment of taxes kasi for example sa Pilipinas meron tayong uh, may ibang companies that do not pay taxes uh, regarding solar and wind energy systems because uh, nakasaad sa batas na if you are gonna be doing renewable energy systems, then you are exempted from tax. So it depends if you will fall under that category. And if we talk about salvage value, then this is the amount, or this is the amount of all your system after its useful life. So paano po nangyayari yon? Ito ay minaminus sa total costs na nagastos mo. Kasi for example, magbigay tayo ng example, kuwari iPhone 16, for example, iPhone 16. Sa market currently bagong labas siya. So ito yung pinaka cost niya. Ang initial cost na sa market for example is nasa 100k, for example, nasa 100k. Then as time passes by, 'di ba, bumababa yung value niya. Bumababa yung value niya until such time na ma-discontinued ang production niyan. Discontinued means Apple will not be able to produce it anymore. For example, after 20 years or after 10 years nga lang, after 10 years, they will not be able to produce iPhone 16 anymore. So by that 10 years, that will already be the salvage value of iPhone 16. So for example, that's going to be only 10,000. So that's the salvage value. So that cost, you will subtract it from the total cost that you had here. And after subtracting the salvage value, you will now be able to compute for the payback period. Ang payback period po is the time required for the savings or revenue generated by the system to recover the initial investment. So, syempre, you invest money, so and the system is operating, so you generate money as well. So, how much time will you be able to get the money that you invest is the payback period. For example, nag-invest ka ng $1 million. So, how many years you be able to to get back that $1 million? And for example, nakuha mo na siya, bawi ka na ng 5 years. Then from the succeeding days and years, puro kita na lang yung lahat. That's already uh, uh, revenue na lahat yon. So that's the break-even point then. That's the payback period, that time where you get your money back na from your investment. And this is one of the main concerns kasi they believe that investing in solar energy systems have a higher payback period compared to other thermal power or compared to other energy generating plants. That is the reason why hindi nga masyadong tinatangkilik or they do not trust solar energy systems because of the longer payback periods, but with the right knowledge and with the right process, then this could be good, as well as the internal rate of return. So syempre, a higher rate of return, then this means the shorter the payback period. So that's it. The We need to have a higher internal rate of return, so we can have a higher or we can have a shorter payback period. So yeah, that is the key performance metrics when we need to design or when we need to invest and design a solar energy system. So yun. And I think that's it. That's the end of lesson 3. That's the end of lesson 3. So uh, provided as well here ilang sample problems regarding heating systems natin. Yan, apat yan. And this other four, I'll be solving this na lang uh, I'll be sending you the video of the calculation of this maybe later today. So, para by week 8, we will not be having classes anymore. So, isa-send ko sa inyo to, yung calculation nito. I'll be sending the calculations of this later, later today, para again, you will not be able, to or we will not be having a class on week 8, but still that's still subject to change, sorry, kasi if nag-discuss si Sir B ng calculations regarding heat transfer, then we are gonna be discussing that on week 8. Pero if hindi, then we will not meet on week 8 na. That's gonna be your free time na. So again, it still depends on the plans ni Sir. So yon. But yun nga, i-clear ko if isi-send ko yung recording, i-record ko mamaya yung calculation nito para by week 8, pwedeng hindi na tayo magklase. Pero magkaklase tayo ng week 8 kung i-discuss yung sa heat transfer na calculation. Pag hindi siya isasama sa midterms, then hindi na tayo mag-meet sa week 8. So, yun. Clear ba yun? So, yun. I think that's the end ng ating lesson. So, do you have any concerns, questions, clarifications?
Wala pa naman po.
Sige, if you have any questions, then you can just reach out to your class rep. Then yung class rep na lang yung mag-reach out sa akin. Yun. And again, reminder, again, sorry guys na wala yung net. Again, next week we will be having our quiz. Half of the quiz is on your module, so make sure that you are gonna be bringing that. And your uh, your quiz will be multiple choice and identification. So, yon. Next week yon. So, make sure to bring and study. Yon. Any concerns po? Questions? Wala. If that's the case, then I think that's the end of our class muna. So, kindly open your cameras muna again, and class rep, take a screenshot, then lagay mo doon sa Google Drive. Let me know if okay na.
Natay ko na po. Okay na po.
Sige, if that's the case, thank you for attending the class. Again, if you still have any concerns or questions, just let me know. Yun lang. Thank you and see you next week.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po.